Well, here's the situation probably none of us really want to think about. Being exposed to an infection or disease at work. Attorney Catherine Stone from Injury Florida Law is back to tell us why it is so important to act quickly. This is another one of the topics, Catherine, where I never really thought about it, to be honest with you, but there's a lot of professions that this is what you have to think about daily.
Correct, especially in the medical field.
Yeah.
I've seen cases in the past where nurses got stuck with needles. They were exposed to hepatitis. Maybe they obtained hepatitis. This was back, really before a lot of the ways to treat that. Mm-hmm. But still, even the treatment itself should be a compensable workers' comp claim. Also, occupational exposures to gases and fumes can cause, certain types of asthma, or they can cause breathing difficulties. There was one instance where someone was exposed to basically a room where they had kept an old X-ray machine, and the chemicals she had developed a skin disorder because but the laws have changed over the years since I started practicing back in 2003 with regards to occupational exposures, and they have gotten a lot more difficult in those odd cases, and primarily the airborne exposure cases. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of litigation, and I just was at a work compensation forum in Orlando late last year, where 2 of the 3 cases before the First District Court of Appeals that were argued at that forum had to do with occupational exposure and the laws surrounding that area. And it has its own statutory provision within Chapter 440 that governs workers' compensation. It has a huge body of law, but it can be one of the most difficult to prove on behalf of the injured worker who has the burden of proof. And when I say it's important to, if you think you've been exposed to either a chemical or an airborne type of situation, to act quickly if you think it's related to work. And here's why. Because in order to prove that that's what caused your condition, there has to be some measurement of the situation. So if it's chemicals, if it's airborne, if it's only a temporary airborne situation. For instance, I think one of the cases had to do with the gentleman was cleaning out a warehouse with rat feces in it, and then he developed something that they were saying, some experts were relating to the rat feces. Oh, wow. But by the time they went to go test the rat feces, it had all been destroyed. So there was no testing for it. And so that was one of the cases that was up in front of the District Court of Appeals. So again, kind of going back to some other segments, the date of everything is important, and acting quickly, especially in those occupational exposure cases, is very important. So if there is the ability to still conduct testing, if there is a test available, it's got to be done quickly.
I feel like I'm always trying to put myself in the situation of maybe someone at home that might be in this situation. Should they give you a call as soon as symptoms, or is it smarter to wait until like an actual diagnosis? You're saying don't wait.
I'm saying if you have any reason to believe that you have been exposed to something at work that is causing a medical condition, that first and foremost, you should see a physician. And even if that physician won't say specifically it's related, I think you should always consult with an attorney who handles that, because maybe your primary care physician doesn't deal with that, but there are a whole host of specialists. They're called occupational specialist physicians, that's all they do is study and treat patients who have occupational exposures.
You know what I love too, Catherine, is just the fact that we're really stressing, like if you've got questions and you're like, I don't know if I need a lawyer, you just educate first and ask those questions.
I ask questions and I give information, and then
you can decide.
If it comes later, it comes later, but it's about at least getting some answers.
Well, if you've got some questions that Catherine Stone can answer and help guide you in the right direction, there's her phone number, there's her website, Injury Florida Law Firm, and Catherine Stone, as always, we appreciate your time.